Certain jobs are always going to be done by men.
Big strapping man?
Now, two of the game's greatest legends will find themselves competing.
The real story is the matchup between the Bullet and teammate Dodge Connolly.
Over the one woman who can put them in their place.
The only thing you hate worse than a guy making a play is when the guy doesn't make a play.
Oh, were you making a play? I hadn't realized.
What are you doing for dinner?
And the game is on.
Well, I'm glad.
I'm happy you're glad.
I'm glad you're glad.
So you want to play dirty?
Maybe later. I'm a little tired right now.
This year, what's romance
I've got some decisions to make.
In a minute.
without a little rivalry?
Where were you two?
Out.
Nowhere.
George Clooney, Renee Zellweger,
You're substituting my bosoms for your mother's.
What?
Why not? What's wrong with my bosoms?
Leatherheads.
Stay away from my right knee.
Watch my left shoulder.
Also my right hindquarter.
Well, you wouldn't punch me in the back, would you?
No, never. Let's just go for the face.
Well, there's a look at the new George Clooney starrer, Leatherheads, which I understand is about Depression-era
20s.
American football.
And
Late
so
20s.
called because of the leather helmets that they wore on their head.
Right.
Not for any other reason, which could have sounded a bit rude.
It could have.
Well, that's why you were asking, wasn't it?
No, I haven't seen this. And I am a fan of American sporting
you?
movies.
Are you?
No, not at all. How many have there been?
Name a good one.
Oh, gosh.
Actually,
We were going through the Kevin Costner Field of Dreams, the
Field
baseball
of
ones,
Dreams,
the
League,
natural...
League of Their Own,
you know,
the
you
natural
know,
Bull
bit of
Durham.
a
How
bit of a
many
guilty
more?
pleasure. You know the Adam Sandler movie he did a couple of years ago? The
the-
Longest Yard. I like the original with Burt. Guilty pleasure territory. I like that one.
Yeah.
But,
The meat
But
machine
this
one.
American sporting movies almost rivals American Teacher Takes on Wayward Classroom.
And I think
Full
that
of
you've got
cliches.
to, yeah, you've got to feel a little bit nostalgic about that era of professional football to kind of get into
into
it
it.
because, you know,
Well,
I
I think
didn't.
that's the problem with this movie.
Yeah,
and-
American 1920s football is not my special subject.
Well, also the other subject needs to be is: are you a fan of the screwball comedies, old-style American screwball comedies?
And
You need to.
George Clooney is basically doing a Cary Grant, and Renee Zellweger's got all the snappy zing of a, you know, Katharine Hepburn type character. And I do
okay.
think that worked on that level, and I think the two leads were very good at what they did there.
Well, it has sort of like a serious look to a degree on American football in the 1920s, where college football was so much more developed and popular than professional football. In fact, professional football they played in cow paddocks, and this is a story. George Clooney plays this veteran gridiron player, and he's a bit of a con artist who actually single-handedly rescues professional football and gives it the status that it now has commercially. So you look at it, maybe has a subtext in there about modern day sport, but really
when
what
the
this
money
is,
came to play
Yes.
in sport.
But mate, what this really is George Clooney who can do whatever he wants. Let's face it, I like him. I think he's a talented
power
director.
in Hollywood.
He says, I think I'll make a 1920s screwball comedy with my friends, and that's what he's basically done. But to me, I don't know where the audience is for this movie. It's got pretty poor reviews.
Not in Australia. That's where they're
Well,
at.
all I'll say the good things, cause it looks beautiful. I mean, he's lovingly photographed himself in it, hasn't he? flashing his teeth on the screen. And John Krasinski, is that?
He's very good.
I was impressed.
He's
I thought
handsome and
he's playing
and
this
charismatic.
strapping college football star, and I thought, is that the guy from The Office? And that horrible Robin Williams movie. He looks so different in it.
Yeah.
And Renee Zellweger,
Which one?
Licence to Wed, one of your favourites from last
Remember,
year.
put wedding in the title and it can sell.
But I thought he was good, and Renee Zellweger, who I normally hate because she's squinting all the time, I thought she was okay in this, although she looked older than 31. She was lovingly photographed too, and
That's very cruel of you.
Well, I just thought she did.
I'm allowed to say she's got a squinty, pouty face, but you're not allowed to say she looks too old.
But she played a smart-mouthed reporter
Yeah.
that you might have seen Katharine Hepburn play, and does a good job. But where I do think this
Or
falls,
Barbara Stanwyck.
where I do think this falls down, because I wanted to enjoy it so much. The first 15 minutes, I thought, this is pretty bright and breezy. And then-
Actually, I quite like the first half.
Yeah, well, I thought it looked beautiful. Music by Randy Newman.
Oh, never.
I thought I was watching a Woody
For your
Allen movie. I
consideration.
thought I was watching a Woody Allen movie for a while because
Gav,
the soundtrack.
You know what was less successful was the wacky, slapsticky stuff.
That's what I was going to say.
Running away from the cops,
I
and
didn't like
it
that.
was some silly bits. In
He
it.
threw in some screwball Marx Brothers type visual gags.
Do they speed up the speed of the
Not
movie?
quite, but you know,
Yeah.
I didn't.
And the
I didn't like
barroom
that.
brawl. I was just going. Oh.
Yeah, and you know what? By the end of the movie, mate, and I'm a Grinch when I watch these movies. By the end of the movie, I didn't like any of the characters. I didn't even like George, who was meant to be charismatic. Con artist.
Lovable
but
rogue.
But what was this movie saying? He was a cheat, and he was saying that sport was better in the old days when you could cheat. So by the end of the
Scoring.
movie, I found it really predictable, and I didn't like it.
Scoring.
Tight Ass Tuesday, because I'm a George Clooney fan, I think it's visually stunning, but that's about it.
Yeah, I was going to give it half price as well. I liked a lot of it, but not interested enough in Gridiron to care about the final half, which was more about the game.
And I don't understand the game well enough to understand what was going on near
well,
the
now
end.
you see what they've got to do.
Yeah, funny. And also, I can't think of anyone I could recommend the movie to, except perhaps that when I went to see it, there was
Clooney
a
fans.
mature audience who sort of were giggling a little bit at the dialogue, but I didn't think that was good enough either.
Yeah. And you remember they hadn't paid either, so I'd be laughing too.
No, they had. No, I went to a regular session.
Oh, did you?
I saw all the ads and everything.
Oh, ripped off.
Well, they were. Yeah, not me.